parents have a nice house. And since he is a millionaire, a bright streak is simply bound to begin in her life. Once again cursing her ex-husband, she swears that she will live a happier life than him. Her swearing mentioning Lucas's name attracts the attention of a girl passing by. It turns out to be Sue, who has changed her appearance, but has not forgotten her lover. At this time in the office of Lucas's American company, employees are working very actively. A film crew from the entertainment company that the man created watches Lucas play. They film a story about their creator, but Lucas loses time after time. However, the film crew believes that this makes Lucas more human. Lucas sweats awkwardly from such close attention captured on film. He doesn't understand how he signed up to shoot this video, which has been going on for several days. The entertainment company he created has not yet made much profit. The appointed director complains that they have no content at all. Although Lucas gathered outstanding talents, created good conditions, and allocated huge funds, however, so far no interesting ideas and good results. Employees are trying to reason with him, noting that the worsening problem with the coronavirus makes filming difficult. But the director does not want to hear reasonable arguments. He wants to do something cool. Then one of the agency's employees, the youngest, takes the floor. She is cynical, jokes about the boss in response to his nitpicking, and she also has a good idea. This girl is a screenwriter, and she offers to make a documentary about Lucas. She is sure that such content can be popular with viewers. Their company does not have a flagship product yet. Its CEO is already quite popular. His story is full of provocative material from divorce to sudden wealth. Therefore, the company decides to use its own director in the person of Lucas to promote the company. And now they break into the private life of a man, including filming him not from the strongest side. The CEO periodically runs away from excessive attention. However, Lucas started this business himself, so he understands the possible benefits. Lucas is pleased with the way the company is developing. Even the number of employees has more than doubled. The Seed Coin project is also developing steadily, and this affects the psychological climate of the company. But Lucas still can't get along with the brilliant programmer Eddie. He once again approaches him to express his joy that the guy is actively using the game room. However, Eddie immediately sets strict boundaries and asks not to distract himself during his vacation, and says that he came at the call of Charlie and Lucas. He does not obey at all. Eddie's armor is thicker than Lucas thought, but he still wants to follow Charlie's advice and make friends with this strange guy. Lucas apologizes for bothering him and places a folded piece of paper in front of Eddie. Mistaking her for a check in Lucas's gesture for an attempt to bribe, Eddie is furious. He swears that Lucas is trying to buy his favor with money and threatens that he wants to leave. With contempt, he spits out that talk about saving the world is a lie and it all comes down to money again. Lucas grins broadly at this, not understanding what the money has to do with it. There is something much more valuable in the folded paper, and he invites Eddie to see for himself. In the envelope, there is a photo of a very beautiful idol girl. This completely solves Eddie's gift of speech and breathing. He freezes in place. Jennifer is Eddie's favorite performer, and from such a gift, the guy clutches his heart and falls to his knees, which scares Lucas. Eddie doesn't understand how Lucas managed to get hold of such an incredibly rare autographed card. But Lucas has a small media company in Seoul that has helped him do just that. Feeling empowered, Lucas replies that since Eddie likes this performer so much, he can give him tickets to her concert if he can get hold of it by chance. He leans over to Eddie, holding out his hand so he can stand up. And after this proposal, Lucas becomes almost a saint in the eyes of the programmer. Thus, Eddie's onboarding to a permanent job was completed successfully. Yet Charlie's advice, which was to use otaku favorites to seduce them, turned out to be correct. But before Lucas has time to come to his senses, his phone begins to ring from the ring. Dr. Henry calls, who reports on the results of the tests. Lucas wants to know what the current situation is with the coronavirus. Unfortunately, Dr. Lucas cannot please with good news. Health services in all countries are under tremendous strain, and the number of confirmed cases is rising uncontrollably. If the rate of infection does not decrease, then the incidence of 70% of the world's population is predicted. Lucas understands that this marks the beginning of the pandemic. Due to him being in thought, Dr. Henry calls out to him by his first name, drawing his attention. Lucas asks Henry to continue his work, and in return, he will help increase the power of artificial intelligence as soon as he completes the development of the cryptocurrency. After the conversation, Lucas thinks about what will happen to the economy from the pandemic, that the stock and bond markets will collapse, his assets may become worthless. But for some reason, Lucas is sure that in this situation, he can earn much more. But you need to understand how to make money when the economy is collapsing. For such a case, there is a special financial instrument, a put option. It allows you to earn money when the market price falls. But if someone benefits from the system, then someone loses everything. Thus, put options can be used to make money even when the economy is destroyed. Lucas is embarrassed to make money during a pandemic when people are suffering. But still, he reassures himself in time that he is an investor and must first of all think about profit. After all, if he did not have the money that he has now, he would not be able to save the world. At this time in the States, a senator running for president assures that America will save the world from the coronavirus. News of this is broadcast in Ellie's office, who finally calls Lucas. She is shocked and furious that he wants to invest a huge amount of money in a risky put option and has bet on the collapse of the New York stock market. Lucas laughs at the way his girlfriend and financial advisors swear at him. Ellie wants to stop him, asks how much time she has to intervene. But it turns out that there is time left until the end of the week, and she is unlikely to be able to help. This makes the girl even more enraged, and she literally yells at Lucas. In her opinion, no normal investor would risk losing $200 billion like that. However, Lucas is so monstrously calm, as if he knows the future in advance. He only laughs at how emotional his girlfriend is and can't do anything about it. After all, he missed Ellie and her voice, so he listened to her with pleasure. Embarrassed by such a sudden confession, the girl immediately loses her furious mood. It only grumbles that Lucas has become more violent since taking the CEO's chair. She understands that her boyfriend is very rich, but such an investment is difficult for her to understand. But Lucas is also not 100% sure. He just hopes that the forecast may be correct. He also wishes Ellie good luck in adapting to a new place, so that she does not give up and believes more in herself and her potential. Touched by his words, the American woman wants to say something tender in response, but she is interrupted. Her colleague flies into the office and warns that the break is over. Lucas and Ellie hurriedly say goodbye to the man's displeasure. He thinks about what he would like to do in his unexpectedly free time. Its employees both relax and work. The same film crew frolics in the pool. The guys are delighted with such a spacious and comfortable house for employees, moreover, in the States. The screenwriter working with them reminds them that they came for filming. Men realize that they have relaxed too much, enjoying the power of capital. However, they all admit that Lucas's life is too boring to film. People would like to see more shocking details about the life of one of the richest men in the world. Therefore, the screenwriter comes up with the idea of conducting an interview and asking the CEO about investments, as many will be curious about how Lucas has raised his capital and where he is investing now. The film crew immediately accepts this idea and begins to think about its implementation. Lucas agrees to take part in the interview and meets with the team, but he is surprised that the subject of their meeting is where he invests. However, he immediately reveals that he recently made an investment, and the tone of his voice inspires a sensationalist producer. Lucas reveals that he invested 200 billion won in a put option, which is considered a very risky investment. While everyone is in shock, he reassures the team, saying that his expectations can be met. And almost immediately, Lucas receives information about the results of his investment. The producer believes that he hit Lucas hard, since options are very risky and the chances of making a profit are low. The 200 billion invested by Lucas may be perceived negatively by the audience as a bet in a game of chance, and therefore he is thinking of abandoning filming. But Lucas immediately voices the information he received about the option. His profit was 487%, so he earned a little more than 1,000,000,000,000 Korean won. Shocked, the team is speechless, but Charlie enters the hall and asks Lucas to give him time. The man apologizes and leaves, but the team still does not believe what they have heard. Charlie pleases Lucas with the news that the seed coin is finally ready. And all this is thanks to the excellent team that the men managed to assemble. Henry is at this moment in the world of his dreams. In the dream, he hears Paul's loud laughter and sees another training session that Paul is leading. All participants in the dream take a muscular posture, boasting about their physical shape. Such a sight shocks poor Dr. Henry even in his dreams. Finally, Paul pays attention to him and calls him to train. At the same time, the doctor's gown is changed to a sports uniform. From such a nightmare, Henry, in a cold sweat, opens his eyes in reality, lying on the couch. Paul stands over him, chuckling, and greets his friend. He actively welcomes Dr. Henry, this time to his house. It turns out that Henry lost consciousness again during the experiment. So Paul took the man to his room and put him to rest. Henry sent the clothes to the wash and changed the man's clothes into his own. Nevertheless, the doctor is only interested in how his experiment went. Unfortunately, Paul has nothing to please his student friend. Thanks to the use of the cloud service, 35% of the work the work was done, but further calculations were impossible due to insufficient performance. Paul asks his disheartened friend to rest while he can. Henry tries to get out of his bunk, believing that this is not the time to rest as the virus continues to spread. However, Paul immediately stops him and tells him to stay at rest. Despite his great passion, in his exhausted state, Henry is unable to conduct research. If he decides to go, Paul warns him that there is nothing he can do as a doctor, and this forces Henry to obey him and lie back down. Henry remembers that it's been 7 years since Paul dragged him out of a fight with the professor. Paul is surprised at how much time has passed since that fight, but does not condemn his friend's actions. He winks at August, noting that he never liked the professor either. Dr. Henry laughs loudly at his friend's reaction. Paul decides to find out what caused Henry to choose his path in life. Henry does not know how to approach a complex and tragic story, but he explains that it's all about the disease that his younger sister had. It was an infectious disease that had eaten her body long before Henry could have helped her. Paul condoles to his friend, who takes out a locket hanging around his neck. Looking at the photo in it, Henry remembers what a cheerful and talented girl his sister was, never sick before. And after her death, Henry decided that he would definitely eradicate the disease that took his sister from him. He would not allow anyone else to get sick and die like her. Paul wonders what the name of such a dear person to his friend was. However, he does not have time to answer this question, as his employee bursts into Paul's room. The man shouts that there are problems with artificial intelligence. This news shocks Henry and makes him freeze in place. Tearing out the IV and grabbing a doctor's gown, he rushes into the laboratory with Paul. Here, their attention is attracted by a large screen with various indicators. It shows that artificial intelligence is working and actively investigating the virus. No one understands why computing performance has skyrocketed, but then Henry's phone rings. He picks up the phone and Lucas on the other end asks if the doctor is in the lab. It turns out that it was thanks to Lucas's company that the lab was finally lucky to move forward. The Source Coin project was successful, which delighted the employees. Lucas explains to Henry that he is using blockchain technology so that the bio company can add performance to itself from other computers connected to the system. About an hour ago, the first mining of the new cryptocurrency began, and the number of miners is growing so fast that they are predicted to spread to 500,000 computers within a day. Lucas notes that the value of artificial intelligence itself is enormous, and without the doctor's research, everything would be useless. He thanks Henry for his hard work and wishes to work together to crush the coronavirus with capital and technology. At this moment, Dr. Henry chokes on tears and does not know what to answer except endless words of gratitude. Lucas promises to call him back and smiles contentedly. He is glad that everything worked out. At this time, Paul comes closer to a crying Henry and asks what name he has chosen for the artificial intelligence. This name becomes Soren, the name of the doctor's deceased younger sister. Everyone in the lab is thrilled that a big breakthrough has finally occurred. In Lucas's office, everyone is happy that the Source Coin project has been launched. Lucas has thrown a party and is trying to give a speech of appreciation, but the programmers prefer to celebrate with each other rather than their superiors. Lucas wishes his employees to enjoy the day to the fullest. Charlie calms him down, telling him not to worry and let the guys focus on the party. Lucas only hopes that everyone on their team is really happy about the success. Charlie reminds them that they will now have to pay for the issuance of the seed coin for a huge number of people. And this is a lot of money. More than 200 million can come out per month. Therefore, he worries whether Lucas is ready with such financial costs. He is surprised when a friend reassures him, as if such money is nothing to him. But this is what Lucas was counting on when he conceived the project. And for him, it is more important that the official creation of the vaccine has begun. Now he can spend money usefully, and this makes Lucas happier. Charlie stares at his friend from his student days for a long time. He sighs softly, noting that Lucas has indeed matured. But still, Charlie is curious to know what the CEO's plans are for the future. The team understands that project work involves a short duration, and therefore the guys discuss